We are told that hard work is the ultimate equalizer in the race for success. Yet, if pure effort were the only variable, the most exhausted people would always be at the top. Have you ever wondered why some individuals skyrocket to the finish line while everyone else is still tying their laces? It isn't about a lucky break or a massive inheritance that fell into their lap. These leaders didn't just find a shortcut, they engineered a barrier to entry that they alone control. Today, we reveal the hidden architecture behind the manufactured edge that changes everything. To understand this architecture, we must look back at the starting line of every great empire. Most people begin their journey with nothing but a dream and a relentless work ethic. They believe that by putting in more hours than the competition, they will eventually win the game. This is the trap of the linear grind where effort is directly tied to output. In this stage, you are a commodity, easily replaceable by anyone willing to work for $1 less. The market doesn't reward your sweat, it rewards the scarcity of what you provide. For decades, the traditional path was clear: get an education, find a stable job, and climb the corporate ladder. This system was designed to produce efficient workers, not visionary architects of their own destiny. It taught us to follow the rules rather than rewrite them for our own benefit. However, a select few realized that playing by the old rules was a recipe for mediocrity. They saw that the world's most successful figures weren't just working harder, they were building something different. They were looking for a lever long enough to move the world without breaking their backs. These individuals identified a fundamental gap between the average worker and the true market leader. While the masses focused on perfecting their craft, the future elite focused on owning the platform. They understood that skills are transferable, but infrastructure is a fortress. The origin of every manufactured edge begins with a single, calculated decision to stop competing on price or effort. It starts when an entrepreneur decides to solve a problem that others find too complex or too risky. This is the moment the first brick of their personal barrier is laid. It requires a psychological shift from being a participant in a market to becoming its architect. You have to stop asking how you can fit in and start asking how you can become indispensable. This shift is the catalyst for every breakthrough that follows in the narrative of success. Before the world ever saw their names in headlines, these leaders were quietly assembling their secret weapons. They were not looking for a handout or a stroke of luck to change their fortunes. They were busy manufacturing the very advantage that would eventually make them untouchable. Most people begin their journey in the crowded trenches of standard competition, fighting for the same scraps as everyone else. They follow the traditional playbook of incremental gains and hope that consistency alone will eventually lead to a breakthrough. But the origin of a true empire begins the moment you realize that the existing rules are designed to keep you average. How do you break away from a system built to ensure your mediocrity? Breaking away requires a moment of total clarity where the pain of staying the same finally outweighs the fear of the unknown. This is the catalyst where the aspiring leader stops seeking permission and starts seeking leverage. They realize that playing the game better is a losing strategy if the game itself is rigged against them. The turning point often arrives during a period of intense frustration or a sudden market shift that renders traditional skills obsolete. You see your hard-earned expertise being commoditized by automation or cheaper labor. It is a terrifying realization that your value is no longer unique in the eyes of the world. In this crisis, the future elite stop looking at what they can do and start looking at what they can own. They identify a specific friction point in their industry that everyone else is simply complaining about. Instead of avoiding the obstacle, they decide to become the only ones who can navigate it. This is the irreversible decision to stop being a service provider and start becoming a gatekeeper. They pivot their entire focus toward building a proprietary system, a unique data set, or a specialized network. They are no longer just selling a product, they are constructing a fortress that others cannot easily replicate. Building this manufactured edge requires a temporary sacrifice of immediate gains for long-term dominance. While their peers are chasing the next quick paycheck, these architects are investing their resources into invisible infrastructure. It looks like a step backward to the outside observer, but it is actually a strategic retreat to gather strength. The conflict intensifies as the old world tries to pull them back into the safety of the status quo. Doubts creep in when the initial results are slow and the complexity of the new path becomes overwhelming. Yet, the commitment to the manufactured edge provides a sense of purpose that the linear grind never could. Suddenly, the first signs of the new advantage begin to manifest in ways that defy traditional logic. A task that takes a competitor a week now takes them an hour because of the systems they have built. They have successfully decoupled their income from their time, creating a gap that is impossible for others to bridge. There is no going back once you have tasted the power of a self-made monopoly. The bridge to the old way of working has been burned, and the only path forward is to scale the advantage you have created. The transition from a worker to a market leader is now complete, and the real game is just beginning. The real game begins with the first attempt to scale that newfound leverage. You step out into the market with your proprietary system, expecting immediate surrender from your competitors. But the world does not just hand over its crown because you found a better way to work. Initial discoveries are often met with a harsh reality check from the existing ecosystem. You realize that your new infrastructure, while powerful, is still fragile and untested under real-world pressure. The systems that looked perfect on paper start to show their first cracks when faced with actual volume. Skeptics emerge from the shadows, often in the form of former mentors or peers who still cling to the old ways. They watch your unconventional moves and predict a spectacular failure, dismissing your manufactured edge as a mere fluke. Their voices create a mental friction that tests your resolve more than any technical glitch ever could. You begin testing various hypotheses to see where your barrier to entry is strongest. Is it the speed of your delivery, or the unique data you have managed to aggregate? Each failure provides a vital data point, narrowing down the exact source of your future dominance. As you push further, the problems grow in complexity and scale. You are no longer dealing with simple tasks, but with a web of interconnected variables that require constant adjustment. The very advantage you created now demands a level of management you were not originally prepared for. This is the phase where most aspiring architects quit and return to the safety of the grind. The costs of maintaining your edge start to climb, while the massive profits are still just a projection on a screen. It feels like you are pouring resources into a black hole with no guarantee of a return. Through this trial by fire, you discover that the real barrier is not just the system you built. It is the proprietary knowledge you gained while trying to make that system work. This intangible asset is something no competitor can buy or replicate without going through the same pain. The first barrier has been identified, and the initial attempts to overcome it have left you scarred but wiser. You now understand that building an empire is not a straight line, but a series of calculated sieges. The stakes are rising, and the true test of your manufactured edge is about to arrive. The true test arrives when your competitors finally notice the shift in the landscape. They no longer see you as a minor annoyance but as a legitimate threat to their market share. This is the moment where the quiet construction of your fortress meets the loud aggression of the established players. Incumbents will try to outspend you, outmarket you, and use their legacy reputation to crush your momentum. They rely on the sheer weight of their history to maintain a status quo that benefits them. Can a manufactured edge stand against decades of institutional power? You must look deeper into the mechanics of your advantage to find the hidden vulnerabilities of the giants. While they are bogged down by bureaucracy and outdated models, your system is lean and adaptable. The conflict is no longer just about resources, it is a battle between agility and inertia. Why do most innovators fail at this exact junction? They often make the mistake of trying to fight the giants on their own terms. They trade their unique advantage for a seat at the table, effectively surrendering the very edge they worked so hard to build. The pressure to conform becomes an internal war that keeps you awake at night. You start to wonder if the skeptics were right and if your proprietary system is just a house of cards. Every minor setback feels like a confirmation of your deepest insecurities. True market leaders double down on their unfair advantage when the heat is highest. They do not dilute their strategy, they sharpen it until it cuts through the noise of the competition. They realize that their barrier to entry is only as strong as their willingness to defend it. The secret lies in the feedback loops you have integrated into your proprietary data. Every attack from a competitor provides you with more information on how to optimize your defense. You are not just surviving the confrontation, you are using it to evolve at an exponential rate. The gap between you and the rest of the market begins to widen into a chasm. What started as a small experiment in leverage has transformed into an undeniable force of nature. The confrontation has not broken you, it has forged your manufactured edge into an unbreakable weapon. The chasm between you and the competition finally seems insurmountable. You have reached the summit, and the market has seemingly accepted your new rules of engagement. It feels like the battle is over and the manufactured edge has finally secured your permanent place at the top. But then, the silence becomes deafening. The very systems that propelled you forward suddenly begin to stagnate as the market reaches a point of total saturation. Your once revolutionary advantage starts to feel like a golden cage, limiting your growth rather than fueling it. A massive shift in global regulation or technology renders your proprietary data obsolete overnight. The barrier you built so carefully is bypassed by a new, unforeseen wave that doesn't even recognize your fortress. You realize with a sinking heart that your unbreakable weapon was designed for a world that no longer exists. The resources you spent years accumulating vanish as you scramble to pivot in a direction you never anticipated. Your team loses faith, and the skeptics return with a vengeance, claiming they knew your rise was just a temporary glitch. It looks like the story of the manufactured edge ends here, in the rubble of a fallen empire. You stop fighting the inevitable and begin to prepare for a quiet exit from the stage. The dream of being a market leader dissolves into the reality of being just another cautionary tale for future entrepreneurs. You accept that perhaps some advantages are meant to be temporary, a fleeting spark before the darkness. In the midst of this total collapse, you notice something peculiar in the wreckage of your old system. A small, overlooked stream of data continues to pulse with life, unaffected by the external chaos. It is a residual effect of your original leverage that you previously dismissed as a minor byproduct. This hidden variable was never the primary goal, but it has become the only thing that survived the crash. You realize that while you were building a fortress, you accidentally created a bridge to an entirely different dimension of value. The final defeat was actually a necessary shedding of skin to reveal the true core of your power. The game didn't end, it simply changed its fundamental nature without telling you. You weren't losing your edge, you were being forced to sharpen a much deadlier one. The real manufactured advantage wasn't the system itself, but the invisible infrastructure you built underneath it. This invisible infrastructure is not a piece of software or a specific patent, but the unique cognitive framework you developed while building them. This mental architecture allows you to see patterns where others see noise and opportunities where others see total failure. You have finally decoded the DNA of the manufactured edge and realized it was inside you all along. The true unfair advantage is the ability to manufacture leverage out of thin air regardless of your starting point. While your competitors are still hunting for external resources to save them, you are generating internal momentum through sheer strategic design. You have moved beyond competing for market share to defining the very rules of the market itself. The giants who tried to crush you now find themselves obsolete because they are still playing by the old rules of engagement. Your edge is no longer just a barrier to entry, it is a filter that only permits those who can adapt to your new reality to survive. The conflict ends not with a surrender, but with a total transformation of the competitive landscape in your favor. Being a hard worker was merely the price of admission to this higher level of strategic play. The transition to market leader happened the moment you stopped trading your time for results and started trading your proprietary systems for dominance. You are no longer a participant in the economy, but an architect who dictates how value is created and captured. Everything you have achieved was built by deliberate design rather than by inheritance or simple luck. You took the raw materials of your industry and forged them into a proprietary weapon that only you know how to wield effectively. This is the ultimate expression of the manufactured edge, a self-sustaining cycle of growth that protects itself. The fear that once kept you awake at night has been replaced by a profound sense of strategic clarity. You realize that the barriers you created were never meant to keep others out, but to keep your focus locked on your unique value. This internal alignment is what makes your external advantage truly untouchable by any competitor. Look back at the wreckage of the old systems and see them for what they were, training grounds for your current mastery. You have proven that a manufactured edge can withstand any storm and overcome any incumbent power. The world now recognizes your name as synonymous with the very category you worked so hard to create. This is the moment of total realization where the promise of the manufactured edge is fully fulfilled. You did not just find an advantage, you engineered a legacy that will outlast the current market cycle. The manufactured edge is now yours to command, and the future belongs to those who dare to build what cannot be inherited. Your legacy is no longer a question of if, but how far it will reach across the global landscape. The systems you engineered have become the new gold standard, forcing every newcomer to adapt to your specific rhythm. You have successfully shifted the narrative from merely surviving the market to defining its very future. This journey proves that the most powerful advantages are never found, they are meticulously and deliberately constructed. Why settle for the crumbs of inheritance when you can own the entire mechanism of production? You have demonstrated that strategic design beats raw effort every single time the stakes are truly high. Now, the focus shifts from what you have already built to what you will choose to engineer next. The manufactured edge is not a final destination, but a continuous process of evolution and strategic refinement. Are you ready to stop working for the system and start building the system that works exclusively for you? But even the most sophisticated systems require a specific type of fuel to maintain their dominance over time. Understanding how to identify the raw materials for your next advantage is the secret to perpetual market growth. Let's look at how the world's most successful architects of industry select their next target for total disruption.